This little stone building, completed in 1866, was the factor's office for the Earldom Estate, Orkney's largest landowner at that time. In the years following World War I, however, the estate was almost entirely sold off to the sitting tenants. The building became a bicycle and radio shop and petrol station, but since 1997 has been home to Orkney Wireless Museum, a unique collection of domestic and military radio equipment, memorabilia and a photographic archive. Let me take you inside. Radios date from the early 1920s. Many were home built. This is a working replica Baird System 30-line televisor. The original, built in Orkney in 1931, would have required 2 of these domestic sets to receive the experimental television broadcasts from London, one for the picture signal and the other for the sound. Our wireless timeline takes us from the early days right through to equipment used during 2019's 5G Rural First project, which tested here in Orkney various uses for wireless in the future. The military collection illustrates Orkney's role in the defence of the United Kingdom during World War II. The naval anchorage, Scapa Flow, as you can see from this map, was heavily defended by solid barriers for physical protection, anti-aircraft guns, mine loops and boom defences. However, at the start of World War II this was not the case. On the night of 13th-14th of October 1939, the German U-boat U-47 found its way into Scapa Flow between islands and block ships. These ships were deliberately sunk in the channels to block the entrances to the flow. The British destroyer Royal Oak was sunk when hit by torpedoes fired from the U-boat. 834 men lost their lives. In 1940, the first Sea Lord of the Admiralty, Winston Churchill, finally approved the building of barriers built from stone and concrete to physically block 4 of the eastern entrances to Scapa Flow. The contract for this was awarded to Balfour Beatty and Company Limited, a giant construction company of international fame. Supplies and equipment arrived, camps were built, rockworks opened up, barges, railway lines, engines, dumper trucks, lorries, huts, cranes, generators, and many hundreds of workers. Thousands of tons of stone were slung out on cables and dropped into the channels, with waterfalls cascading over the structure in the sweeping tides. In 1942, Italian prisoners of war, recently captured in Libya, arrived to help solve the labour shortage problem. Camped on the islands of Bury and Lamholm, these men, though often cold and unhappy about the project they were working on, generally made the best of what they had. Many of the Italians were skilled craftsmen, and their work can still be seen in the remaining one of 2 small chapels which they built and decorated. We are fortunate to have a collection of some of the small items they made, often to sell to workmen for money to buy materials to use in the chapels. Following the capitulation of Italy in September 1943, life eased for the prisoners. They were allowed radios and bicycles, and they were paid a wage. In May 1945, the barriers were officially complete. That spring, the Italians left Orkney and were eventually repatriated. Orcadians had great respect for the prisoners, and contacts are still maintained. Today we can drive across the Churchill barriers, which link the island of Mainland to 4 of Orkney's South Islands. We hope you will be able to visit us in our little building someday. It's full of interesting surprises.